There are no foreseeable risks to participating in this study beyond those experienced in everyday life. Some questions may be of a sensitive nature, and you may therefore become upset as a result. However, such risks are not viewed as being in excess of minimal risk. If, however, you become upset by the questions, you may stop the interview at any time or choose not to answer a question. There is no incentive for your participation. You will not benefit personally from participating in this study. However, the results of your study may inform how other libraries, archives, or museums provide internships for undergraduate students in the future. Your participation is voluntary. You can decline to participate or you can stop your participation at any time, if you wish to do so without any negative consequences to you. All of your responses will be coded by a special identifying number rather than your name. All of the papers pertaining to the study will be kept in a locked file cabinet in Musselman Library's administrative office for at least 3 years, and all electronic data will be stored in computer files and saved on a flash drive stored in the same location. Only people who are directly involved with the project will have access to these recordings. When the project is finished and results are reported, no individual will be identified in any way. Do you have 30 to 60 minutes to participate in this research study?
Yes.
Okay. By answering the interview questions that I will ask, this means you consent to participate in the research project. Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay.
Sounds good.
If you have any questions or concerns about the research team, please feel free to contact. And I have the research team. It's Clint, Kate Martin, Chang, and myself, and I'll send you all those addresses that you can contact if you have any questions.
Okay.
If you have any questions regarding your right as a research participant, or if you have any concerns or complaints about the research, you may contact the Gettysburg College Institutional Review Board via email at irb@gettysburg.edu or by phone at 717-337-6820. Please call this number if you cannot reach the research team or you wish to talk with someone else. And again, you'll be provided a copy of this cassette form electronically, or if you prefer, I can mail it to you.
No, electronic.
Okay. All right, so that's the consent form. So I'll just get started with some of the interview questions again. If you have any trouble hearing me or any need to stop me for any reason, please feel free to do so.
Okay.
All right, so overall, could you describe your internship experience at Musselman Library?
Yes, so it was during spring of 13. I had a sport and ball internship, which reference energy. And there's basically a series of projects that I was involved in. I did some work on the reference desk, so I learned about reference librarianship and reference in general. I learned about the profession. I learned about information literacy. I did a little bit of work in the collection development and working on how collections are maintained, updated. I worked with some basically assessing like books and stuff, weeding the collection, and I also worked on the Cupola, which is Musselman Library's depository, a couple of different things related to that, such researching whether faculty publications could be deposited there, and if so, what sort of policies needed to be followed to be compliant with the open access and internet posting guidelines for publishers. So that's, I guess, kind of a general overview of what I did during my internship. Yeah.
So the last project, was that was that something that had just come up there, or was that something you were particularly interested in?
That was something that I was interested in. I can't recall exactly how new the cupola was. I think it was relatively new, but it was something that was being worked on, and I was interested in that. I was interested in publishing, so I sort of picked that as my own little
kind of out of curiosity, so when they sort of train you for the internship, is it something that they make clear that if there are areas you're particularly interested in that you can work on them, or do you do that at the time of hire?
Yeah, I know. I can't remember exactly when I'm looking at the schedule I had right now, and it says right there that you'd be able to develop your own project. Basically, I have an opportunity to learn more about the things that interested me. I had the opportunity to come up with the project and implement it, and it was actually something that I was learning about at the time and was interested in learning more about it. So it seemed like a good fit for my interests. So yeah, I mean, Clint was really helpful about helping me to do things that would not only help the library, but also be things that I was interested in. So, yeah, there was a lot of opportunities to learn more about things that interested me, being things that, might be helpful for the thing. At the time, I was actually interested in scholarly publishing. That's what I do now. For my at the American Psychological Association. Mm-hmm. At that time, I was just starting to get interested in that, so I did try to learn more about things that would help me in the publishing industry.
Great. So sort of building on that, my next question is, how did the internship help you to decide to pursue a career in libraries, archives, or a related field?
Well, yeah, I mean, I started out, when I applied, I was definitely interested in library science. And I, worked at the library for pretty much since the beginning of the start of college. Yeah, it just sort of, I guess, exposed me to a lot of different aspects of research and how it's distributed, how it is maintained, and yeah, I'm sorry. What? Can you remind me what the specific question was?
How did your internship help you decide to pursue a career in libraries, archives, or related fields?
Got it. Okay. Yeah, so it basically just exposed me to that, and it was something that I scholarly published. Again, it's what I do now, and it sort of the different aspects of that. Particularly, I guess, the open access stuff was the most relevant. It's something that I am interested in now and something I work on now. So, yeah, it just sort of broadened my horizons such that I, when I was interested in pursuing a job in publishing, I knew what to look out for.
Okay. Did you go right from college to this particular job?
I started working at APA in after I graduated, and I've been there for now in position. Started out working as a editorial manuscript coordinator, which is basically helping the different psychology journals that are published in APA with the process from submission until when things are either accepted or rejected, and now I work more on the production of things, so managing the composition, typesetting, publication for psychology journals as a journal production here.
Great. And have you gone to graduate school?
I haven't. I actually did apply this couple of graduate programs, and I was accepted to a master's program, but that was in philosophy, actually. So it wasn't really related to my internship work very much. And actually, I am not going to be doing that just for financial reasons. But I do hope to actually pursue some graduate degree in the near future. Probably more toward philosophy, just to sort of gain content knowledge in that field. I'm not exactly sure whether I'm going to be published for that or if I would be more interested in an academic career.
Okay. So you're sort of looking at those two possibilities at this point?
Yeah.
Okay. What impact did your internship have on your early professional development?
One, it gave me experience working in an office. I think I had just really things that I worked on. And I also, I guess, in terms of, I don't know, professional development, just the work at the reference desk really helped me to be, one, the actual knowledge of understanding how to, research things in a systematic and efficient way was helpful, sort of in a general way, but more specifically, the communication skill, the ability to work with people on questions and helping them to really develop their questions they're interested in searching, so that because a lot of times people, when they come to the reference desk, they might not have a clear idea about what question they're trying to ask. So communicating with people to get them to express things that they may not be able to articulate initially, I think was really good. Working on the Kuppel project, really, when I applied to my job, one of the was being able to work with editors, reviewers, and authors, and so working on that project, I had the author thing sort of nailed down. Mm-hmm. And working with psychologists, I actually did some work with Gettysburg State Department, just sort of talking to different faculty authors to see what they'd published and whether it could be deposited in the cupola. So that really was helpful, just having both the sort of general knowledge of the research process for academic publication, and also that specific experience of working with authors was helpful when I was applying to the job at APA. And then, I don't know, there have been various things that have come up in the past couple of years. APA has, the field of open access publication is sort of in flux right now, and so having an understanding, we actually had something last week that I sort of was able to understand and contribute to, had experience with the different sort of policies being open access and the field. So I think there's the specific knowledge that I gained, and also the sort of general just professional skills, communication, being able to understand people and to express clearly, all that.
Great. Are there, I think I just asked you that. I think you just covered that. But is there anything, the next question I have is, are there certain skills or concepts that you learned during your internship that you still draw upon? Is there anything that you wanted to add besides what you just talked about?
No, I think that covers it. A lot of my work is talking to people. I guess one thing I could add is project management. That's pretty much my main job, is to ensure that the different journals are publishing according to their yearly publishing schedule. And a lot of that is really planning and making sure things are being done on time so that everything is such an issue. So I definitely gained a lot of experience working on the various projects that I had during my internship in that regard.
Okay. And then my final question actually is, overall, how has your internship impacted your career?
Well, I mean, like I said, it really, the specific things that I did during my internship were really helpful when I was in for the job, and it helped me at various points throughout the sort of professional skills I gained, were good both in getting the job and actually the job, and also, the support of the people in the library, I think, really was helpful when it was a reference when applied to this. And I think it has had an impact, in a pretty clear way in that, I pretty much went from the internship and found something that I was interested in and sort of pursued that to what I'm doing now.
So do you have a plan sort of post, right, as you consider the two options? Is it sort of a definite fork in the road, or are there other things you're looking at?
Yeah, those are the two main things. The question is, depending on how my application in the career, what sort of offers I get, mainly what I'm going to be applying to philosophy, PhD, and master's programs, because, that was my main thing that I was interested in pursuing, but I wanted to gain some sort of non-academic work experience, and, but I was interested in, publishing fields, scholarly publishing. It's really going to depend on what the offers are, but it's good to know. I mean, if I don't get into the programs that I want to get into, then we'll probably continue in the publishing field. Probably in production is what I'm doing now, but I also have interest in editorial work. I'm not exactly sure. There are a couple of ways that I could progress at APA in publishing. So it's just going to be a matter of seeing how things work out. And then even if I do, continue with the graduate school, the nature of the academic job market is such, pretty easily find myself looking for a non-academic job, and I think that the publishing experience I have, as well as, the actual knowledge of philosophy would help me to find a job, like being an editor for a university or something, particularly in philosophy. That is, just in terms of that, I like what I'm doing now, obviously, but I think it would be even better if it was, the content was a little bit more aligned with my interests. Psychology. Yeah, I don't know. It'll depend on next year. But I guess it's not really that clear, but
right.
Yeah.
Interesting. It sounds really. To me, interesting that with the way that you sort of have the backup as well. So if you do the PhD, to move on also to have the librarian options as well, certainly seems like a nice match.
Sure. Yeah. It's just sort of it's hard to predict.
Sure.
How it's just such a variable process. The prospect of getting a PhD, an academic.
Yeah.
Backup plan.
Yes. How did you know that you were interested in working in publishing or working in librarianship in the first place? How did you come to that internship? You said you knew you were interested in it, but how did you get to that point prior?
I worked at the library basically since my first year, and I did working. I started out actually doing interlibrary loan work.
Uh-huh.
And then I started working at the circulation desk, and then I also worked on, different projects over the summer. So I I did pretty much everything except for the special collections and the reference work. And when I was applying, I just kind of sort of naturally was more interested in the reference work just because I knew, they're helpful skills to have when you're doing research, just generally, and also at the time I was sort of thinking about what my next steps were after college, and I knew that I talked to people who were in publishing. It's a Gettysburg alum who was working at APA at the time, and I first was doing the job that I ended up doing. So I just had that connection. Seemed like just sort of a natural fit at the time. So that's sort of how I became interested in doing an internship.
Okay. Those are the questions that I have. Is there anything that you think I've missed or that you wanted to add?
No, just I want to really emphasize that, everyone that I worked with was really great and helpful, and I think it was a really great experience for me, and it, not even beyond just sort of the ways in which it helped me professionally and in my career. I think it's, a great way to spend a semester, and I hope that, it's emphasized that it's a really great and supportive environment, and I hope that it's not.
Definitely. I think one of the things that's been really interesting on my end in career as an outsider to kind of see how amazing these opportunities are. So I've really enjoyed hearing people's stories as I've gone through this process with Clinton and Kate. Great. Well, I appreciate your time. If anything comes up, you have my email, but I will send you this release form. I'll send you this consent form just for your reference. And again, feel free to contact if there's anything, either questions or concerns.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Thanks.